The elevator doors opened on the 41st floor at 11:47 p.m., and Eleanor Whitfield already knew tonight would be the night everything changed. She just didn't know yet in which direction. She had cleaned Callaway Tower for 11 years, long enough to know which offices smelled like old coffee and older regret, which desks held family photos and which didn't. She moved through the building like a ghost who paid rent, present, necessary, invisible. Her knees ached worse than usual tonight. 64 years old, and the cold had settled into her joints the way it settles into old houses, ever since a fall on an icy sidewalk 2 winters back. She pushed her cart slowly down the marble corridor, past windows spilling the city into golden glass. What she stood to lose that night, though she didn't know it yet, was the only paycheck standing between her and the small apartment she shared with her sister, the one with the space heater that only worked in one room. She rounded the corner and nearly collided with a man she recognized instantly, though she was fairly certain he had never once looked at her. Michael Callaway didn't usually work this late, but tonight the boardroom lights had stayed lit past reason, arguing over numbers that mattered more to shareholders than to anyone's actual life. He was tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. He rubbed his eyes and nearly walked into a cleaning cart. "Watch it," he said, sharper than he meant to. Eleanor stepped back and murmured an apology. "You're the one who does this floor?" he asked, glancing at the half-mopped marble, the trash bin still full, the hour hand nearing midnight. "Yes, sir. Running a little behind tonight." "I'll have it finished before you're always a little behind." He said it flatly, out of patience for anything not already solved. "I've had 3 complaints about the 4th-floor bathrooms this week. The lobby glass streaks every morning. I don't have time to micromanage a night crew." He was already turning away. "We need someone who can keep pace. HR will process it in the morning. Tonight's your last shift." He didn't see her hands tighten on the cart handle. He was gone before she could answer, disappearing into his glass-walled office while she finished the corridor anyway, slowly, carefully, the way she did everything now. She would not leave a job half done, even one that had just been taken from her. Near 1 in the morning, unable to sleep the way he'd been unable to sleep for 9 years, Michael found himself back at his desk instead of his apartment. He kept a single framed photograph on the shelf behind him. His mother, Diane, laughing at something off camera, taken a year before the diagnosis. He rarely looked at it closely. Tonight he did. Something at the photo's edge caught him. Not his mother, the woman standing just behind her, slightly out of focus, in pale blue scrubs, one hand resting on Diane's shoulder. He stood, pulled the frame closer. His chest went tight. He walked the corridor and found the cleaning cart abandoned near the elevators, the woman herself sitting on the bottom stairwell step, catching her breath before the climb ahead, an old habit. Her knees not what they used to be. "Ma'am," Michael said. His voice changed entirely from an hour before. "I need to ask you something." Eleanor looked up, wary. "Sir, if this is about tonight, I understand." "I'll clear my locker. Were you ever a nurse?" "At Grayson Memorial, 9 years ago." Eleanor went still. "I don't talk about that time much." "My mother was Diane Callaway. Room 412. 6 weeks before she—" He couldn't finish it, even now. Eleanor's eyes filled slowly. "Diane," she said softly.
"She used to hum while I changed her IV line."
"Old hymns, mostly. Said it gave the pain somewhere else to go." Michael sat beside her on the step, his suit crumpling against the concrete. Neither spoke for a moment. "I left the hospital 8 years ago," Eleanor said finally. "My husband's heart gave out the same year. Between his bills and mine, nursing pay wasn't enough. Cleaning paid better with the overtime. I never thought I'd end up scrubbing floors in the same city where I used to hold people's hands while they died. But you do what keeps the lights on." "You held her hand at the end," Michael said. "I was stuck on a flight from Chicago. By the time I landed, she was already gone. For 9 years, I've wondered who was with her. I never thought to ask a name. I just remembered the blue scrubs, the humming." "She wasn't alone," Eleanor said. "She talked about you the whole last week. Said her son worked too hard and forgot to eat. Said she hoped you'd learn to slow down before life made you." Michael pressed the heel of his hand against his eyes. 42 years old. Running a company with 1,100 employees, undone on a stairwell by a woman he'd fired 90 minutes earlier. "I fired you tonight and didn't even ask your name. Eleanor Whitfield. Most people here just call me the cleaning lady." "I'm sorry," he said, rough and unpracticed. For tonight. For 9 years of not knowing who sat with my mother when I couldn't. For walking past you 100 times without seeing you. You were grieving, Eleanor said. Grief makes people blind. I've watched it happen in hospital rooms more times than I can count. It's not an excuse, but it's not nothing either. Michael stared at the floor his own hands had never once had to clean. You're not fired. That was wrong, and it'd be wrong even if you were a stranger to me. But I want to actually see you. What do you need, Eleanor? Not what I assume. What do you actually need? She considered it honestly. My knees aren't what they were. There's a coordinator position on the day shift I applied for months ago, scheduling, training the newer staff. Never heard back. Figured someone younger got it. You'll have it by Monday, Michael said. And I'm starting a hardship fund in my mother's name for staff facing medical costs, the kind of help that would have mattered to you 8 years ago. I should have built it long before now. You don't have to do that out of guilt, Eleanor said gently. It's not guilt. It's that you sat with my mother when I couldn't and gave her pain somewhere else to go. And that's worth more than any number on our balance sheet. He stood and offered his hand, helping her up from the step. The same hand that had waved her off 2 hours earlier now steady under her elbow. Come upstairs. You're not finishing this floor tonight, she almost argued out of habit. But something in his face stopped her. They stood together at his window a while later. The city spread gold and glass beneath them, and Michael said his mother's name out loud for the first time in 9 years without his voice breaking on it. She would have liked this, Eleanor said. She always said the measure of a man wasn't what he built, but who he remembered on the way up. Michael looked at the photograph he'd carried up without quite realizing it. His mother laughing, and behind her, no longer out of focus, the woman who had never left the room. Some hands hold on long after we've stopped noticing them. If this story moved you, please like this video, leave a comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to Kindness Tales for more stories of courage, grace, and the small human moments that change everything. And tell us in the comments, who is someone who showed up for your family when you couldn't be there, and did you ever get the chance to thank them?